and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
We have vital information we would like to share with you. The Department of Indian Works St. Paul partnered with the Minnesota Department of Health to open the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline. They provide information on testing sites, isolation space, vaccines, housing assistance, and food resources. If you or someone you know has questions about COVID-19 or has questions to determine if you should get tested, please call them at 651-304-9986. Again, the number is 651-304-9986. The Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline is open for calls Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Call the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline at 651-304-9986. That's 651-304-9986.
AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lulia. Cloudy overnight with a low of 72, then hot sunshine on Thursday with a high of 92. The Great Wall Restaurant has been providing an authentic taste of delicious Chinese cuisine since 1981. The Great Wall is located on France Avenue on the Minneapolis-Edina City line. View their menu at greatwallrestaurant.us.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Couldn't cut. He didn't cut again.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake.
Corrections. You're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade, Distant Thunder. We talk about national and local Native news. And as you know, Wendy, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues.
This portion of the show is brought to you by the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline. Call them at 651-304-9986. They're open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. with your COVID-19 questions.
Yeah. Hey, we got a different show today. A little mixer up or a little bit. We got State Representative Heather Keeler coming on.
Fantastic.
And we really just want to give a quick shout out to her and see how she's doing. And I know she was up at the press conference for Line 3, so it'll be really interesting to hear her intake of what was going on. And then we also have Robert Blake from Red Lake. I always love to say that. But he's with Solar Bear with the Solar News we have on every Wednesday. And then
he always has such good updates.
Yeah, he really does. What a positive dude. And speaking of positive dudes, why don't we get over with Lewis? And Lewis got a few things that we can all talk about. Newsworthy that's happening all over Turtle Island, and he's stepping in for Ogama, who's been running ragged, and now she has a school board meeting. As we all know, she's a school board member up in the deep north, and so she's
got a lot going on. She does a lot. She does a lot for her family and for the community
and for Native Roots
Radio.
My gosh,
yeah, we couldn't do the show without her. So
hey, I don't say that. Okay, right, we'll say that. Hey. Let's get with Lewis, our new team member. Lewis, welcome to Native Roots Radio as always, and Peeny Gigi for all the great work you do for us.
Thank you so much, Wopi Watanka, Robert, and thank you everyone for tuning in today. I'm the less charismatic news guy. Cannot fill in for Ogma, but I'll do my best here. So we're going to run through news quite quickly. Yesterday, water protectors locked down to Line 3 horizontal direction drill. Stop drilling of the Shell River. 3 water protectors locked down to one of Enbridge's 39 horizontal directional drills, halting drilling under the Shell River. Enbridge is drilling under riverbeds across Anishinaabe treated territory, including the Willow River, where it appears construction hit an aquifer while drilling. Yep, an aquifer. The Minnesota Pollution and Control Agency is, quote-unquote, investigating the, quote-unquote, frack out with seemingly little urgency, as always, right? While northern Minnesota is at record-setting drought, with many water bodies going completely dry, Minnesota DNR granted Enbridge a variance to the dewatering permits, allowing Enbridge to increase from pumping 540 million gallons from local lakes and rivers to 5 billion gallons of water. This is water that's not going to be repatriated back to the lands, people. The MNDNR then suspended dewatering permits in limiting locations due to extreme drought locations. In fact, in my community, Robert, we have a water ban on lawns and everything else. So this is a statewide issue. Enbridge continues to track water from other nearby locations, including the Mississippi headwaters. We talk about Line 3 and the rest that happened this week, and we have to continue to keep a close eye on it for all of our listenership. It's really important to think about water sovereignty, and water protection. This includes all of us, not just indigenous communities. In other news, there was a big happening in the Black Hills of South Dakota. It's a Indian collective called Red Road to DC. The House of Tears carvers of the Lumni Nation will transport, or has been transporting, I should say, a 25-foot totem pole from Washington State to Washington, D.C., stopping for ceremony and live-streamed events with community leading efforts to protect sacred places under the threat from resource extraction. We look at like Line 3, one of those things, in industrial development. As the pole travels, it draws lines of connecting, honoring unity, and empowering communities working to protect sacred places. The pole carries with spirit of the lands it visits and the power and prayers of the community along the way. So we can look at it as a prayer pole. It harnesses all the power of prayers from all these indigenous communities it visits, ultimately delivering these prayers, power, and demands to the Biden-Harris administration and Congress in Washington, D.C., and accumulating in an exhibition at the Smithsonian National Museum of the American Indian in Washington, D.C. In this context of a national reckoning with American history and the acknowledgement of past and present injustices inflicting on Native peoples and land without our consent, the Red Road to D.C. invites people to take a stand with those who are struggling to protect sacred places. Our future depends on it. This totem pole that was created by the Lumni Nation will be in White Earth Reservation in northern Minnesota, in Minnesota, I should say, and that's going to be July 25th. Yeah. It's going to be in Mackinac City, the Mackinac, that is the Turtle Mountain Band of Anishinaabe Nation, July 27th, and then resulting in quickly going to Washington, D.C., July 29th. And I know a lot of the speakers, because they were actually live today in the Black Hills, in the place where I am proudly from. And they had speakers there like Nick Thielsen with the Indian Collective, as well as Phil Two Eagle with the Ochedeshokoan Treaty Council, the 7 Nation Council Confederacy of the Great Sioux Nation. And they talked about, the power of not only, this totem pole, but the unity of all us indigenous people getting together and talking about all our issues and to get headlines, get it in news media. And we want to definitely empower Deborah Haaland, because this is going to be in Washington, D.C., July 29th. So we want to make sure we empower this and empower her as, Secretary of the Department of Interior, watching over, BLM lands, watching over, reservation territories, making those good decisions, like reversing Bears Ears, which the Trump administration, gave out to land development. We want to repatriate that land. We want to make sure that all land is sacred, and all the land and all the damage that we're doing is irreversible. So this is the news of today. We have a lot more going on. The Ochedeshokoan Treaty Council, for those that may not know, it's a treaty council of a repatriation of the Black Hills. And they are demanding from the Biden administration to have a council together and speak with them to talk a little bit more about sovereignty and a little bit more of working with tribal nations for healthcare programs and MMIW, as well as repatriation of children at boarding schools. So a lot of these issues, including healthcare, affect Indian country statewide and nationally too. So our relatives in Wisconsin and Chicago listening, be sure to be politically involved with the Biden administration and hold them accountable for their promises to the indigenous community. And I think that's the first step, Robert, is being politically involved.
Absolutely. And, all I have to say, Wendy, is like Ogamahu. Lewis did a great job of reading that news. I'm just kidding, Ogama. So that's awesome. When
it is important, like Lewis said, to get involved politically and start locally too. Know who your city council member is, know who your state senator is, know who your House representative is. Get to know them, ask them questions, go to their town halls when they have them.
Yeah.
They've been doing them on Zoom and this, that, but just get to know them, email them.
Yeah.
And we want if you know your people, they can help you.
Look at Wendy just 1 minute at herself, Lewis. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw that. Heather Keeler, someone in politics, will be on today talking about line 3. So
yeah, say that again. I was talking over you. Go ahead.
Oh, no problem. Heather Keeler, we got Bob Blake, Solar Sovereign Energy, but Heather Keeler, she's with District 4 talking about line 3. We need to get involved and, have these discussions. So you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
Right on. Hey, right on. Hey, you are listening to Native Roots Radio, and I know NDN Collective is covering the totem poles. So if you guys want to Google them or look for them on Facebook, I got a chance to see that totem pole. What a beautiful piece of art and what a spiritual being. Up next, State Representative Heather Keeler. We'll be right back.
Stay with us. If you're hurting in your relationship or have been affected by sexual violence, you're not alone. Strong Hearts Native Helpline can help you through these difficult and uncertain times. Strong Hearts Helpline is a free 24/7 confidential domestic dating and sexual violence helpline for Native Americans. Help is available by calling 1-844-762-8483 or by clicking on the Chat Now icon on strongheartshelpline.org. This message is sponsored by the National Indigenous Women's Resource Center.
We are your relatives.
We are your relations.
Brothers,
sisters,
sons,
daughters.
And some of us are your grandchildren.
We are your community. Historically, we held places of honor and respect. Because of the impact of colonization, some of us are rejected, thrown out from family, friends, and community, set up as targets for sexual violence, sex trafficked, humiliated, tortured, and murdered. Everybody has the right to be safe. We are your relatives. Remember,
homophobia is not traditional.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Hey, Ogama, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
COVID-19 vaccines are safe, effective, free, and approved for everyone over the age of 12. Need help getting a COVID-19 vaccine? Trusted community connectors can find vaccination sites, make appointments, answer questions, and provide interpretation. To learn more about scheduling a free appointment or find a community connector, visit ramseycounty.us/COVID vaccine. That's ramseycounty.us/COVID vaccine.
This is Winona LaDuke of Honor the Earth, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio. I'm awake.
We are Alusa Nation.
Yeah. Welcome back. Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is brought to you by MN350, a grassroots organization fighting for climate justice.
Hey, I was joking there, laughing there a little bit. Lewis and I were fighting over the screen here. I'm not used to doing that, and I just had to laugh and go, "Oh, there we are." Hey, we asked our sister, State Representative Heather Keeler, to stop in, and I know one of the things, Wendy, we talk about all the time on air and off air about State Representative Heather Keeler, how much work she does, how much work she does for her people, her state, her constituents, and she has family, and it's a full-time job. So we just really like to have her come on and speak her truth every once in a while. And we know she was up at line 3, so it was really Great to see you, Heather. Thank you so much for stopping in.
Thanks. I'm glad I can be here. It's always nice to stop in. I feel like it's like stopping by my family's house and just saying hello, giving an update, and keeping it moving.
Right. Well, you don't get to see all the house because my office is a mess, and Wendy won't let anybody in my bathroom or my office. So this is it. You have to use Wendy's bathroom.
You could come in any of the common space. It's very nice.
And Wendy's bathroom. You can use Wendy's bathroom upstairs. But hey, I saw a couple days ago with your busy schedule that you were up there supporting at the news conference for Line 3. I know you have a lot more to talk about, but I just want to start with that. That's amazing. And I just want to say, Peeny Gigi, we are so frustrated here daily when we talk about Line 3 news. It's heartbreaking. And I can't imagine how you feel because you are basically getting it from both directions, right?
Yeah, I mean, it is really heartbreaking. I tell the story that we've been fighting to protect our water for generations. You know, my grandma was part of the era that really fought against the dams in South Dakota. And, you know, a lot of the dams washed out and wiped out big tribal spaces and sovereign nation spaces. And so this is nothing new to us, but it's a fight that is just daunting. And you know, a big reason why I even decided to step up and be at a table of leadership is because I wanted to be a voice to protect Mother Earth. And so we had a really good conversation with the grassroots organizers and the different groups that are working at the ground level, you know, trying to have some sort of a legislative liaison that helps us communicate back and forth effectively because we're trying to do our best from the legislative lens to hold our state agencies accountable. Some of the permits have been pulled and just kind of said, well, we'll review it and see when they, you know, get re-implemented. And we want to be a part of that conversation as state legislators. It's our right and our job to be able to communicate openly with our state agencies like the DNR and the MPCA. And so we've really tried to do our best to put pressure on there. What I can say is that we have a very large group of legislators, both on the House side and the Senate side, who are really passionate about this and want to get involved. And so I know now that session is done and some of us have kind of had an opportunity to catch our breath, we will be going out in those relational spaces. I think the next 2 Sundays we'll have members out at the Shell City campsite just to be in space with our organizers and with our communities so that we kind of go back to the ground level of what we're fighting for, because it can get really yucky behind the scenes.
Yeah, yucky for sure. I know, Heather, this is like it seems like you've been in the House for 10 years because you've been all in session constantly. I mean, this is a part-time job, and I know it's just daunting be a parent and have to drive what I don't even know how many miles it is, 300 miles to the cities. I don't even know. And just daunting. How are you holding up? And I just saw a picture of you and your son, I believe, on Facebook pointing to re-election posters. Is that true?
And it was just his birthday, wasn't it?
Yeah, so my oldest had his birthday this week, but yeah, this past weekend we were, you know, there's a lot of county fairs and fairs happening right now. So out in those spaces, you know, I knew this job was going to be hard when I stepped up. I tell everybody I'm not, you know, being a politician wasn't something I really had in the scope for me, but standing up to be a voice for my people and populations who are unheard is something that I'm really passionate about. And so I am going to be running for re-election. I've gone back and forth for that, but I think the piece for me is, if not me, then who in my community is going to step up and continue this work. I love this job because it provides me the opportunity to be a voice in the spaces that many have been voiceless, but also, you know, reaching out to other people in communities on how they can step up and be leaders. It's so much bigger than just me. What I hope that I can do is share this piece of reality that maybe other kids and other community members who look like me can see themselves and visualize themselves in leadership roles, because representation matters, and it's really important that we're at these tables.
Yeah, and I want to say awesome decision. And here at Native Roots Radio, I know Wendy and I will support you any way we can because it's very important to have a young warrior, like you said, that looks like looks like our warriors. You look like them, and it's very important. Me being, I guess, now a former teacher, that I've always told our politicians. I guess I have to stop the draft then of you and Aaron as candidates. So that's kind of a bummer, but I appreciate you running again up there. I accidentally said that yesterday, didn't I, Wendy?
Yes, he did.
Because we were so upset with what was going on at line 3 with Winona. I think Winona just got out of jail. Or so.
Okay, good.
But yeah, so now we can support you as a representative. So that's awesome.
Yeah, and I think too, it's just this investment that I'm here to create change in whatever capacity maybe that looks like. I guess I'm open down the road for bigger conversations. I have a lot of respect for what Senator Erin Murphy is doing. She joined us, Representative Frank Hornstein, Senator Dipple, like they all joined us yesterday. And it just goes to show that allyship and, moving into action is so important.
We always say to Hornstein and the other representatives, we have Erin Murphy in our section or in our district, Wendy.
Yeah, she's our
but
senator.
we love them because I know they've always been very, liberal. And I want to say, more to the left, like more liberal than I am than the moderates. But yeah.
And I saw the pictures, that were posted of all of you in the water. So
the Mississippi, right?
We really appreciate you posting those pictures and being available and letting people see that you care about it. So thank you.
And I know too, Heather, you can't really talk about it, or is it braggadocious? There's a lot of work that you do as a representative, and other representatives too from behind the scenes that we don't know. We just know Heather's tired and she's got a family and she's got a lot of miles to drive, but you got more going on too. And I don't know if you want to talk about that or generally talk about it, but you do more than just go and vote on bills. You do a lot of behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, I really like to pride myself on the fact that I'm a legislator who creates bills out of the needs of our communities. I listen to our population. I listen to our teachers, our youth. I'm a big advocate for our homeless population, and really trying to think outside the box on how we can make these changes. So I just do my best to be in spaces where we're having genuine conversations to try to develop solution-focused ideas to some of these bigger systematic issues. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm all over. I've become very comfortable in my car. I have good playlists. I am always looking for podcasts that are motivational and inspirational, because really to get anywhere in Minnesota from Moorhead, it's a good 3 to 5 hour drive. But I will say, before I forget, I want to say that yesterday when we were there, it was so cool because City Council member Dan Jourdain was there. And as we were standing there, just kind of spending time at the water, we looked up and there was a huge eagle there looking over us. And I think we've heard that, as we fight to protect our water, that eagles tend to show up. I know as there were individuals from, I think the Army Corps were there today, and an eagle was flying around, that it's just a reminder that we're doing the good work here. And I guess I want to give a public shout out to Dan Jourdain for showing up and being there, and collectively being a voice together across both local leadership and statewide leadership. That really matters.
It's really fun when you bring up Dan's name, and then also just kind of looking at you right now and talking to you. It's like, gosh, it reminds us of when you were running. So this is exciting. We haven't seen you in a while, and when you bring up those names, I have good feelings. And we didn't know what the future was for you, and you won your election. And I don't know, Wendy and I are kind of like proud parents over here in St. Paul of you, Heather.
Well, I will say that I am really grateful for the relationship that I've built with you all individually, but also with Native Roots Radio. You all have provided me a platform to share my story. I know we've talked about, outside of being a legislator, I work in higher education. I really focus on providing educational opportunities for all students of underserved backgrounds. And so you've been phenomenal. And I can tell you that if it wasn't for your support, this road would be much more daunting than it is, because it's nice to be in like-minded spaces with people who care and are passionate about the same things. Cute sign, Wendy.
You
It's my
missed
handiwork.
you missed this, Heather. But Wendy was talking in the first segment, and she gave herself the sign. I was like, "Hey, you just gave yourself the 1 minute sign."
I was talking and I put up the sign. It's just a habit. So I was giving myself the 1 minute sign left.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Heather. I know you're busy, and I really I'd like to have you on as much as you can have on, and especially now that you're running again. You know, that we can support your voice. And wow, thank you so much, Pinigi, for all you do.
Yeah, Pilam.
Thank you.
All right. Hey, you're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and that was State Representative Heather Keeler. We'll be right back.
Stay with us. We have vital information we would like to share with you. The Department of Indian Works St. Paul partnered with the Minnesota Department of Health to open the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline. They provide information on testing sites, isolation space, vaccines, housing assistance, and food resources. If you or someone you know has questions about COVID-19 or has questions to determine if you should get tested, please call them at 651-304-9986. Again, the number is 651-304-9986. The Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline is open for calls Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Call the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline at 651-304-9986. That's 651-304-9986.
Hi, my name is Frank Brown, owner of Minuteman Press Uptown. We're not just another print shop. We give back to the community and stand up for racial, social, and economic justice. At Minuteman Press Uptown, we understand Black Lives Matter and know love is love. We're the only minority-owned and proud union shop in the state. We're community involved and have over 100 years of industry experience. We believe our employees are vital to our success. That's why we pay a living wage with benefits.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. I chose Minuteman Press because they match the values of our business. Their design team took our vision and idea and turned them into a beautiful, professional printed marketing piece on time as promised. They can help your business, nonprofit, or political campaign with printing, direct mail, signs, or other promotional needs that will help grow your organization. Call the printing company AM 950 Trust, Minuteman Press Uptown at 612-870-0777 or find them online at mpuptown.com.
Hey, Wendy, what are we doing for dinner after the show?
How about we go to J. Selby's on 169 Victoria Street in St. Paul? They have a delicious plant-based menu that's compassionate and environmentally sustainable.
I'm getting their spot-on vegan Big Mac, the dirty secret.
You can pick up and they deliver within a 5-mile radius, or you can call them at 651-222-3263 or visit jselbys.com.
Well, you sold me, Wen. Let's go order at J. Selby's tonight.
I'm hungry.
Life is a journey, and the Doherty Family College will help you get where you want to go. Located downtown Minneapolis, this affordable 2-year college provides free textbooks, a laptop, meals, career coaches, one-on-one mentorship, and a Metro Transit pass, making DFC the perfect pathway to a bachelor's degree. Turn your dreams into reality. Connect with a counselor today at dfc.stthomas.edu.
Hello, Minnesota. This is Tom Hartman, and you can catch me every weekday from 11 to 2 right here on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's smart radio for smart people.
Hey, Ogama, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lulia. Cloudy overnight with a low of 72, then hot sunshine on Thursday with a high of 92. Air Seal Tech's trained and skilled technicians will keep your home safe and energy efficient all year round. Call Air Seal Tech today at 612-888-3664. That's Air Seal Tech, Minnesota's premier insulation contractor.
Hi, I'm Jane Fonda, and you're listening to Native Roots
Radio.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Jahade.
This portion of the show is brought to you by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Thank you. I always have to laugh when Jane says you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
Mm-hmm.
I asked her to say that, and
Mm-hmm.
she nailed it the first time. And matter of fact, she has a more exciting one too that
Yeah.
we gotta use too. But hey, it's Wednesday. We just had a great interview with State Representative Heather Keeler, and now we're here with Bob Blake with Solar Bear with the Solar News, and I see he's wearing our swag again. He's taunting us, Wendy. Welcome, Robert. Welcome to Native Roots Radio.
Hey, everyone. How's it going? Solar
Going
News with the Solar Bear. And you had Representative Keeler? That's so cool.
Yeah. She
Where
was
else-
warming up the stage for you.
Oh, nice. How do it's so exciting having all these Native politicians, man. I mean, Robert, this is you too. Like, I'm telling you, like, this is our time. This is our time.
Right. Yeah. And it all started with us going in your fuel efficient SUV, which had a small gas tank, and ran on electricity. And we went to the presidential forum in Iowa and met all these groovy people.
That was awesome. I know. And we made so many good friends too, Robert. So, Robert, I want to tell you that the Solar Bear has now this news following him around, and they're doing a story on the Red Lake Solar Project, but they're also doing a story on how, these oil companies are trying to continue to build the pass like Line 3, and Native people are all about building the future, like solar projects and EV charging networks. So it's been a great couple of days with these guys out of New York. I have a couple more days with them, but they're up here right now, and they're in the other room, and they're interviewing our youth, and they're talking to our youth council about, how they feel and what do they want to see in the future, right? Like, what do they want? How do they feel about renewable energy and climate change and all those things, Robert?
Right. It's funny. We talked a little bit yesterday about this, but I was kind of revisiting the book in the spirit of Crazy Horse, Leonard Peltier and the whole thing happening in the 70s with him being arrested and set up. And we're still fighting the same battles they were back then, Bob. It's crazy. It's totally crazy.
And you want to know something, and I just want to say too, like the state of Minnesota, right? Like, they talk a big game on how they want to, repair relationships with our tribes, with the Native people, and it's these, and they're the ones that basically, said okay to all of those 14 permits, Robert, for the pipeline. And that's the thing, everyone, tribes are under federal jurisdiction. We're not under state jurisdiction. So the states feel like they can get away with it. Right. And that's their argument. But the feds, I've got from a very good source that the feds were, telling the state and showed a big force that this is, this shouldn't be happening. So I'm just telling everybody right now. I mean, I don't know what's going to come out, but the feds are really trying to wrangle the state here. You know what I mean? Like, you need to stop this. And so, I mean, but that's our governor. Our governor can do it. And we need to pressure Tim Walz, and he needs to know that he needs to stop this.
Well, just like Michigan, their governors stopped Enbridge. I mean, she's against Enbridge. I mean, that's the same thing. We had Heather Keeler on, and we talk about Aaron Murphy, but we've been fooled again by politicians begging for votes up in the deep north on reservations and with Indians here, Bob, that, there's a quote that somebody put out on Facebook that he said not to worry about pipelines during the election. Well, I guess he meant not to worry about them because they're coming.
Yeah, and the reason why, they pander to us, right, is because they see our high voter turnout rate. They see that we can flip these seats now, and that's really waking them up. And when you look at some of these senators that are winning their seats in these rural areas, Robert, they're only winning by 40 votes. Now I could drive around the reservation and pick up 40 people in a van, you know.
Right.
And so, like, the DFL, they need to start recognizing and quit being these corporate Democrats and start representing the people like they used to.
Right. Hey, and we're out in Wisconsin and Chicago too. We just got to mention that you're up north, and also when we're talking about elections where you are in that area that you're at right now, Bob, we had 9,000 people register, Native Americans that never voted in this last election. So that's just to echo what you just said.
And can I expand on that real quick, Robert? I want to say that the reason why you had such a high voter turnout was because, the county up here, Beltrami County, right? They didn't allow, they were the only county in the United States to not allow refugee resettlement, and the Red Lake Nation, Leech Lake, they're right here by the Beltrami County. And that really ticked off Native people because, Native people were just like, we're not bigots, and Native people showed out in force this last election because it was basically, telling those Trump supporters that we don't believe in your policies and we're going to vote. And I'm so proud of Native people, Robert, for showing out at Red Lake, for showing out the way they did. The organization that went into it was simply incredible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And the funny thing too with that Beltrami thing, we had they just did it to appease their emperor because, to make that law happen. I asked them, I said, well, how many refugees do you got coming up there? And they said, well, in the last 20 years, we've had like 5. So it was just to appease their emperor, the orange one.
And I want to say that, Solar Bear's cousin, right, is Tim Subner, the Beltrami County Commissioner from Red Lake, right? He's one of the county commissioners, and he was one of the guys that spoke up against that whole policy and said that this is un-American. That's what he said.
The show and talked about it. I remember that.
Yep. And Tim said, I have a right to say this because my people are the original people from this place. So I have more right to say this than anyone else here. And I'm so proud of Tim. Honored he's my cousin. But that's what he said though. And, Robert, these are just policies that us Native people will never accept, and we will continue to fight, and we will continue to resist.
Exactly, just like the T-shirt says, right? Hey, Bob, we got about 4 more minutes, and I'd kind of want to talk to you about this because, as you know, I don't really talk too much about my other job, but now that I'm working for the government, so I don't really talk about much of that. So I'd like to talk in generalities. What can nations out there do to get solarized and windized and all these great things that are out there and all these grants that are out there to do renewable, what you do? Well,
That's really interesting, Robert, because in one of the stories I was going to talk about was in this bill, this infrastructure bill that Joe Biden is pitching, the Biden administration is pitching. And in my opinion, Robert, I think the Democrats just need to go it alone and forget about the Republicans on this and just pass it. But in that particular bill, there is I'm talking massive investments in renewable energy and solar. And particularly, there are investments in there for the Department of Energy supporting tribal investments in renewable energy sources. So that's what's really exciting about this. So I want every Native person out there that is listened right now to remember to go ahead, bug your senator, bug your Congress people that you want this thing passed, because the opportunities are going to be coming down the way for tribal nations is going to really be game changing for our people.
Yeah, and too, we talked about this a long time ago, but I'm a person of history, and I think this is our time to shine. This is the Green New Deal. We need our Democratic brothers and sisters to become more, I don't know, progressive, and not worry about places like the Iron Range and things like that we have to appease these people that maybe we never will. We have to really go out and do it and not worry about getting these middle of the road votes, or we ended up with a governor who gets 68% of the votes, but who talks maybe a little bit like a Republican.
Well, absolutely, Robert. And that's what Kamala would say, right? And I even said it in the interview here with Now This News. That's why it's very important for tribal nations to step up, like Chairman Michael Fairbanks did with White Earth last week. And I'm so proud of Michael. I've known Michael my whole life too, by the way. But I just want to say that that it's very important, because those leaders step up for us when our state and our federal ones fail us, and that's why tribes have the more above everyone else to take care of Turtle Island. It was never those guys' responsibility. It's always been Native people to take care of Turtle Island, not those people. And you see it, Robert, and you see it with the way that Chairman Fairbanks spoke at the Capitol. You saw it completely. And also, I want to say my own chairman, Darrell Seekey, who also is another one who has spoke out against Enbridge and the Line 3 pipeline.
Well, you always say it, and it's like we are the last line of resistance now. The original people here, we are fighting for everybody's water and everybody's energy, and we are the last line of resistance. You always say that.
We really are, Robert. And like I said, we are the last thing holding this democracy together. And the the framers of the Constitution knew that. They knew that Native people will be in the end that will save this place, Turtle Island, and not those people in Washington.
And I always get the chills when you say that. Do you have to leave us right now, or do you have any other news you want to talk about in the next segment, or do you have to go?
Sure, yeah. You want me to do a couple stories for you? I can do that. The kids are getting interviewed in the other room.
All right. Well, we can bring them in and they can interview us over Zoom. Hey, we'll be right back with Bob Blake. You're listening to Native Roots Radio. Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake.
Stay with us. We have vital information we would like to share with you. The Department of Indian Works St. Paul partnered with the Minnesota Department of Health to open the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline. They provide information on testing sites, isolation space, vaccines, housing assistance, and food resources. If you or someone you know has questions about COVID-19 or has questions to determine if you should get tested, please call them at 651-304-9986. Again, the number is 651-304-9986. The Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline is open for calls Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Call the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline at 651-304-9986. That's 651-304-9986.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in 4 directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy, but with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
Hi, this is Representative Sharice Davids from Kansas. I'm Ho Chunk, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
Hey, welcome back.
We are
Native Radio. I'm awake. I'm your host, Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations.
Robert Blake never. Oh, was that him?
There he
Yeah,
goes.
right on. I knew
That was a delay.
My Ingan, Chi-Ma Ingan was Bill's native name, Robert. Bill Blake's native name was Chi-Ma Ingan, Big Wolf.
Wow.
I love that.
Yeah, we should do a show about your brother someday.
And let's get Hutch too, because Hutch got some good stories on Bill.
Right.
Yeah.
Right now that it's things have settled down a little bit, we can get Hutch back on. No, just kidding.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're right. Hey, listen, Robert, I got two good stories I want to share real quick.
Let's do it.
Okay, so the first one is from Senator Tina Smith. Okay, Minnesota Senator Tina Smith, and her staff, and we should send a shout out to Pete Wyckoff and Raven Gibbs. Raven Gibbs is her Native liaison, right? Native American liaison over there.
Wow.
And so I just want everybody to know that they do a great job. Well, anyways, and remember everyone, Tina Smith sits on the Native American, Affairs Council, for the government. So as a senator. So, anyways, she's very supportive of Native issues, by the way. Anyways, listen, here's what she did. She got the clean energy standard into the bill. The clean energy, clean electricity standard is what she got going there. And what this basically is, everyone, this sets us up for something in the future, which is great. This means then that we won't be using, like coal and everything else to use for electricity. You see what I mean? So
Yeah.
what she did was very huge, because we need to get off coal and oil and propane and those carbon emitting fuels. You know what I mean? And so Tina is one of my big heroes right now, because she did this. And I just want to say, Senator Smith, thank you so much for doing this, because this is why you're there. This is why we need you there. And they did such a great job getting this passed, Robert.
That's a great news. What else do you got?
Just a quick story here, Robert. Last story here. Several years ago, a spare of reporters appeared from research arms of financial and investment banking groups, as well as from the International Energy Agency, projecting solar photovoltaic to become the dominant electricity source globally over the following 2 decades. And this is what they quote, and I quote them: solar is going to reshape the global energy economy. 7 years ago, they did this white paper that then goes out to all the investment firms, Goldman Sachs, all the bigwigs, right? And this is what they said. So I want everyone to know that that's the future, everyone. Like, this isn't going anywhere. This isn't a fad. Like, this is where it's going. And Native people and tribal nations need to be a part of this revolution, and they actually need to lead it, in my opinion.
Absolutely. We have to say a prayer for Winona LaDuke, who's trying to protect the water and protect our way of life, who was arrested with 6 other people a few days ago. They just got out of bail today. And so we have like the Mississippi River drying up with global warming, Bob, and we have all these things. We need solar, and we need to change right away. And so it's great to see that you're on the cusp of this revolution.
Thank you, Robert. Miigwech, everyone.
Thank you so much for stopping in. And I think somebody stole our swag, so I don't know if you can drop it by again, Bob, or drop some other swag by, but we'll be wearing that, Wendy and I. And I know who got Wendy's t-shirt? Was that again?
Ilham.
Yeah. that was Solar Bear with the solar. We love having Bob.
I got drug into an event with the congresswoman there that one day. Don't say that. Okay, bye, everyone. Yeah, no. Bye, everyone.
Hi, Jooni. We'll see you.
There was a lot of pictures on Facebook. I don't know where this is. Gooseberry Farms.
Yeah.
There's falls and water there.
Right.
It's all dried up.
Yep.
I mean, there's pictures of people standing on dry land where the falls and water should be running.
You know where Gooseberry
I don't
Falls
know
is,
where
don't
it
you,
is.
Lewis?
Where is it? Gooseberry. Is it in Minnesota?
Yeah.
I just couldn't believe it. So people were standing right there, and there should have been falls and water right there, and it's dry.
Yeah,
like a dry river, dried out river.
Yeah. And I was over at the Minnehaha Falls today for my morning run.
Yeah.
I mean walk. And the falls are still going surprisingly, but you look behind where the creek is and it's low. It's about an inch or two.
Yeah.
So did you where's Gooseberry Farms? Did you check that out, Lewis?
He's going to check
He's
it
gonna
out.
check
I don't
it
know
out.
where it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really. I have a really quick update.
Do
Can
it.
I do it?
Yes.
Okay, so
And then we'll get back
the
to Lewis.
Onaquai horses, the roundup is over.
Oh.
Total of 435 horses, 186 stallions, 202 mares, and 47 foals are what was brought in. The Bureau of Land Management did not gather the horse known as Old Man Gandalf. However, some well-known horses were gathered, included One Ear. There's a horse called One Ear, and he actually has one ear.
Yeah, sound like native names except that Gandalf.
Yeah. So what happened is, the Bureau of Land Management got more horses than they intended because, when you get a herd of horses, you can't count them and just say whatever. But they're anticipating that over 100 horses will be returned to the range after sorting them and going through them and stuff.
So. That's
yes, I hope
somewhat
so too.
positive.
And I'll bring you some more updates about how to adopt these horses, the condition of the horses, and where the horses are, and what you could do to help. So I'll bring that all to you tomorrow. So tune in for more Onaquai horse updates.
Awesome. Hey, Lewis, another thing too, we got a couple minutes here. Do you want to talk more about a little bit of your news and do a quick recap of that, or got you bouncing all over the place here?
Yeah, absolutely. Like again, less charismatic Ogma here. I could never fill her shoes. She does such a great job. But we had speeches happen in the Black Hills, and it's so amazing to have the show, Robert. And it's such a blessing to everybody because we talk about Native issues, and as you say in the beginning of your show, Native issues are human issues, right? And we talk about things like water protection, and Bob Blake from Red Lake talking about solar power, and what that is energy independence for our relatives on reservations. And many of us know that we have our elders and those that are in indigenous communities all across the 574 federally recognized nations, and part of that is definitely energy independence. And I want to give a shout out to Phil Two Eagles, and he is part of the Ocheti Shokoan Oyate, which is the Seven Nation Council representatives of the Seven Nation Confederacy. And one of the things that he talks about a lot is how do we talk about independence? How do we talk about empowering our youth, inspiring the next generation, Robert? Like, how do we harness the energy of activism with Line 3, activism with MMIW, and spur that next generation to say, hey, you are somebody, you are worth it, you are an important person, part of our community, and you deserve a future that has clean water, clean air, that has schools that are secure, and talk about K through 12 repatriation of our information and our indigenous rights. So I really want to just keep the next generation inspired, and part of that is what Native Roots Radio has been doing for the years that you've been on, is inspiring our activists and our allies get out there and speak on our issues. Those things are important, Robert Pilot and Robert and Wendy, and thank you so much for having time and space to talk about these.
Absolutely. We really appreciate that.
Really all important issues.
Yes. And we're just a conduit for that. I would like to end with these thoughts. If you are listening to this show, you are part of the resistance. The ground on which we stand on is the sacred ground. It is the blood of our ancestors from Chief Plenty Coops. We need to resist, divest, join a group, and run for office. You've been listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I want to give a shout out to State Representative Heather Keeler for stopping in. A shout out to Bob Blake from Red Lake, and Lewis for doing his great work. We're still here. We are the 7 Generations. Thank you, Wendy.
Free Leonard Peltier. Stop line 3.
It's time to experience the amazing flavors of EatLocalMinnesota.com. It's your key to unlocking the best local and independently owned